Hello, welcome to Totally Random. And if you think all you can see is black, you're correct. That's for the purpose of the video, and there's little I can do about it right now. Otherwise, this won't make any fucking sense. But first, to get kicked off, I'm just going to talk for a couple of minutes. Hope everyone is well, all things considered, with people losing their jobs left, right, and centre and being I told myself I wasn't going to talk about this, but I got a text message asking, was I alive? So, yes, I am alive. Alive and somewhat, how would we say? You're watching a black screen at the moment, for fuck's sake. So yeah, what's in front of me that you can't see is a Tesla coil. It's a little spark gap Tesla coil. Wound it on the machine, and I think I'll talk about that. I started to record this video and realised that what you needed to see you wouldn't be able to see with the flash and some ambient light in the room and whatever else, so hence why we're talking in the dark. So, rightio. There's the Tesla coil. And my tummy's grumbling because I'm fucking hungry. So, I'll talk about that once I've done this. So, you can't see it, but let's say, I don't even know what wattage bulb that is. That's when it touches it. That's when it's not. And this is about wireless energy transfer. So if I hold it under here or up here, right there, it comes on. I'll just dump these out of the way as I go. It's another fluoro tube. That's not touching. That is touching. And what else have I got here? A 30, oh yeah, you can't see it, 36 watt. And when I let it on there, it's quite bright. And this is only a really small Tesla coil. So, I mean, there's no wires involved. That's the end of the bulb. That's to the side, to the top. So, yeah, and that's about that. So, I'll turn the light off now and explain how I did this. Turn the light off, turn the light on. Rightio. Let there be light, and there was light. So, how did I come to be in this situation? And what I'll do is I'll just move that battery back so it's not in contact. That way we turn it on, we don't get fucking fried by it. Zapped, or say the word fuck really loud. I had a fucking list of things to cover, which you can't read because it's so poorly written. Build parts. Stuff you can see there. The wood's 35 by 70. The primary coil is this piece down here, which is 5.5 turns of 18 gauge enamel copper wire. The secondary coil here is, that comes into the fucking story later on. That's from a Delta motor. That's an RS 550, commonly found in drill motors. You get your cheap Bunnings drill will have one of these guys inside it. I fucking nearly guarantee it. I'm not a betting man, but I'd put on my punter's cap and wager beer or fucking say that you'll find one of these, unless it's a DeWalt or something like that, which is a bit different. But yeah, basic. Like this thing here, sitting right here. If we pan over, yeah, that there, that's running one of these. So, what else? So, that winding there yielded about 4 meters of wire. Fucking focusing issues. Yielded about 4 meters of wire, which I then took and wound around. Well, firstly I cut it down so it would fit in here, because if you have a propaganda, that doesn't want to line up, but I cut it down so that I could wind the wire onto this by turning that on and off. And I don't think that, no, that power supply's off, which is a good boy. Turned it off. That you may have seen before if you've seen a coiling video. The secondary winding on this is part of an old beer bottling wand which I cut up. I just took the step drill to that and drilled that. So essentially, once the enamel copper wire from this delta winding here was on there, ran it through, hooked that into there. Obviously it would have worked something like, going the wrong fucking way. Hooked it in there something like this. I think you get the picture, and then it just pushed it back the same way it would make a coil. I can get that out of the fucking way. Then what's involved with this? The ground which is running off here is basically connected to a pair of vice grips which are sitting on the floor. That's an inverter. You can find them online if you can still get anything delivered. Metallic tape used in auto body repair. Two things are happening here. The secondary winding connects to the top load, and the other end of the secondary winding connects to ground. So there's a screw. This piece you see here is connected to the screw, and under here that's connected to ground. You could actually plug that into the earth socket on the wall. However, I have not done that. The inverters, your standard, you've been watching long enough, you've probably seen it before, so don't ask me silly questions about that. I've answered them. It's what you do with these things. Like, if you take it out in public and fucking zap someone, you're a cockhead, and there'll be ramifications, period. That's not what I do with these things. So yeah, I don't appreciate those comments. Then I don't really give a fuck either. So I contradicted myself there, because what would I mention it if I don't give a fuck? Don't point out the fucking obvious. It makes you look silly, not me. We all understand things, you know. One thing, while I see it in the corner of my eye, is this is a circuit. If you can pick it up, there's some 12 volt LEDs that you get on a strip. There are a couple of monolithic capacitors. This is supposed to be an aerial. It's what I call an air circuit. There's a few resistors and Zener diodes in there. There's 1, 2 in series with that one. These capacitors, the dual thief, which is a primary and a secondary winding, which is you take one piece of wire, fold it over so you can wrap it through there, then cut the piece that you folded and wire two opposing ends, which you can work out with a multimeter together, and that's a little transistor. I do not recall which type, but there's a really funny thing you can do with this and that light bulb. So I'm going to kill the light again, put that somewhere where I can see it. I think I'm going to pop that there. That Yeah. It's a fucking whore's breakfast, this bench. Anyway, we'll move that battery back. And see what happens to the light bulb. The light bulb lights up. If I take that away. Oh, and I'll light the LEDs too. Oh, it'll probably light both of them. This is why I have a blacked out fucking room. So I can do things like this in there. In here. There, here, there. Right, so what was my fucking point? I built this a couple of weeks ago, so this is not actually the result of cabin fever. But cabin fever is the reason why 3 or 4 weeks ago I didn't put it up. Because, yeah, we've probably all had too much shit on our minds. So, yeah, now's just the time to be yourself, be normal, don't let all that shit fuck with your head. I've worked in the lab, germs and bacteria and stuff, so I don't know, I have a bit of a different perspective on it, and yeah. But I'm going to keep that one to myself. However, I will say this, if you're into your vaping and you follow Jar Hayes, I'm not a particularly big fan, but he had a live thing that he did probably yesterday now. Jaihaze. He dropped a link in his pinned comment, which is to a video worth watching. Meanwhile, I'm just making fluoro globes light up. But this is something I've always wanted to do, because I've always enjoyed the work of Nikola Tesla. And if only more of his patents were out there for people to be able to read, that weren't publicly available. Let's just put it that way. And I find it not only annoying, but rather ironic that people are profiteering from his name in this day and age, when in the mid-90s, when I was trying to find out the most basic stuff about Tesla's work, I was going to university libraries, I was going to lots of libraries, using their computers, because there was ARPANET back in that day, and dial-up. A few of my friends had a dial-up connection where you could get on bulletin boards and things like that, and that's where we'd get software and stuff. Well, shit, we were doing that long before then, but there wasn't a lot of information about Tesla, and you could get on the internet, and yeah, I don't like calling it the internet. You could talk to people, and might not hear back from them for months, because that's how bulletin boards worked. That's got nothing to do with it, but it does, because sometimes I'd leave a question somewhere, and it'd be months before I'd be back in that place to have a look to see whether anyone knew anything. And sometimes there was a few books suggested, but then there wasn't a lot of books available. In recent years, more have become available, and now every Tom, Dick and Harry goes, Tesla, Tesla, Tesla. But fuck, where were you cunts 25 years ago? So, Jobbo and the Prof, they're for you. Well, that's for you. Because if it wasn't for a certain bloke having a conversation with me a long time ago, I wouldn't have known who Nikola Tesla was. It wasn't for a friend of mine who was more electronically inclined than myself. I probably wouldn't have had that person to motivate me to just keep building stuff. Yeah, that was a big deal for me. And how do I explain that? I wanted something simple that I could do. This person sort of understood where I was coming from, and they were able to help me. And now they spin out on some of the stuff I build from time to time. And where I'm not very good at some stuff, this bloke's fucking excellent at it. And if I've got a problem, I'm like, yeah, have a look at that thing. And years ago, he tried to give me a half-built one of these, but I didn't take it because I like to start and finish something. So, yeah, as my grandmother used to say, jobs done by halves are never done right. Anyway, I winded it up on, this thing here. The way it works, which is number 12, theory of a Tesla coil, that's pretty in-depth. Plenty of other videos by people brighter than myself with more detail. But the basic theory is, say this was operating at 1 kilohertz, which it probably isn't because I haven't measured any of it. I didn't use a calculator, I just winged it based on what I knew of it. But there's probably 150, 200 turns of wire here. There's 5 down here. That'll give you an equation. You're also supposed to put in the roof height, the size of the room you're going to use it in, all sorts of shit. And if you've watched electro boom videos, if you haven't, go watch some. He's got one that he puts in a vacuum, does all sorts of things with. Yeah, but basically, this has its the top load, the tank. Some people will call it the tank or the top load. It has its own resonance, and so does, which is the secondary coil because they're connected. So think of that as the one, the one piece, and the primary coil is the secondary resonant frequency. So when those two are doing their thing, basically you get a situation where power can, jump to that. And you can't see it with the light off, and it's impressive with the light off, and it will throw a little, probably 3-4 mil if you're fucking lucky, spark gap. It's not for making a huge amount of fucking sparks because there's things that could arc out on. And as I said, I'd use no calculators or measurements to do this. And that's probably about it. It consists of, I started this video, then I cut it off, so I don't know what I've covered. But there's a little LiPo charger for a lithium-ion battery, and wired into that. That's wired up to that, and up to that switch, which is wired to this inverter. The inverter's wired to one side of the spark gap, to the other side of the spark gap, runs out off to the primary winding, which runs back to that primary winding over here on that side. As I said, there's lots of tutorials on how to build them. I don't think anyone who watches this channel is probably going to be bothered building one, but if you are, hit me up with questions, I'd be happy to help. Rimstar Org, I think he calls himself, has a good tutorial on this, and he says his is about the 7th iteration. I fucked around trying to make a Slayer exciter circuit. It didn't work, and even when I wired this up the first time, I didn't do it properly, and I heard a lot of noise coming out of that, which, yeah, that's another thing altogether. But just as we go out, because I've been on 20 minutes, I'll make a bit of light and then turn the fucking video off. So. Alright, so that's my spark gap Tesla coil. Totally random. Lots of tips and totally random just rambling. Thanks for watching. Bye.